If you use Copilot Studio to develop your AI agents, you probably already noticed that its analytics feature is pretty limited. And in this video, we will see how to integrate Copilot Studio to Azure Application Insights, which will provide you with a much stronger observability on your agent's metrics. So to get started, let's have a quick look in the Copilot Analytics tab. So here we have some aggregations. We have things like the total of conversation sessions, the engagement rate. We also have the quantity of credits that were consumed by Copilot. Here, everything is zeroed because I didn't run this agent in particular in production. And then moving forward, there are also a few charts over here. I don't have any data related to those charts right now, but eventually can find a few metrics here, and you can even download a few of this information if needed. And then if you go to the activity tab, you also see a few of your own interactions, but not from the other users, including the message sent and the topics accessed by the agent. So in this particular case, for example, I have an opening message by the agent, I have a message that I sent, and I also have the response provided by the agent, including the topic accessed by them to answer this particular question. So as you can see, this is good and it works if you want to have some basic metrics about the agent, but if you need to go beyond and access custom metrics with almost real-time data, you can rely on the connection between Copilot Studio and Azure Application Insights. So let's do it. And here into this other tab, I already have my Azure tenant in the Application Insights page. You can access the Application Insights by simply coming to the search bar and searching for Application Insights. And here I'll start by clicking Create, so I can initialize a new instance of Application Insights. Here I just have to provide some basic details about my project and my instance. So I just have to include resource group, my subscription, name, and for that I will include something like digital meal metrics. A region, for this case, I'll just take Canada Central. And then here I'll leave this Log Analytics workspace by default. And after everything is ready, you can just click Review and Create. And then you hit Create again. And now it will take a few seconds to complete the deployment. And once it's done, you can click here to access your resource. So here you first see some general information about your Application Insights instance, and there's also this navigation menu on the left side where you can access different features. Some of them, they are applicable to Copilot Studio and some not. And then, for example, here, if you expand this monitoring group, you can find a few things that are relevant for your agent, such as the metrics, or you can also visualize the logs related to the agent's activity, just like we'll see into a few minutes, and you can even create some custom dashboards or issue some alerts based on your agent's behavior. Then moving forward, if you expand this usage section, you will see a few other options as well. Here you can find some built-in visualizations like some demographics about your users and the sessions. So once you get your agent connected to Azure, you can immediately start to track all of these insights. So let's move forward and actually integrate these two platforms. And for that, I just have to be here into the overview pane and copy this connection string. And then back to Copilot Studio, I will just access my agent settings here on the top right corner. And then I'll go to the advanced settings. I'll expand this application insights section. And then here I have this field to include my connection string, the same that I just copied from Azure. And I'll simply paste that over here. And then I have here a few advanced options that I can unselect if I want to. But for this case, I want to capture as much as information as possible. So I just leave all of them checked and I can now hit save. So the changes were saved, and at this point, our agent is already connected to the Application Insights. So let's come back here to Azure. And here I'll search for the logs into the navigation menu. I'll just select it here under the monitoring group. And once I select it, you'll see this query hub where you can find some samples of queries to generate your logs. Most of those queries, they are not actually applicable to Copilot Studio. So I'll just close this pane here. And then here, I would see the history of the queries used into this Application Insights instance. But since we just created this instance, there is nothing to see for now. So here at the top right corner, we also have this drop down saying simple mode, and I'll just change that to KQL. And by the way, KQL stands for Cluster Query Language, which is a kind of SQL language, but more focused on large data sets, such as application usage logs. Now, like everything that we saw so far in Azure Application Insights, some of the features here will be applicable to Copilot Studio and some won't. In this case, if you come here to the left side of your query input, you'll see this table icon. And here, at least so far, the only relevant table among all of those available ones is this custom events. So you can just click on the table name and you see that it will automatically include the custom query to access this specific table. If I now click run, the query will be executed and I'll see no results since we don't have any captured data so far. So let's finally test this integration by interacting with my agent. So I'll come back here to Copilot. I'll close the settings pane. And here I'll just, we already have a new test instance running. So I'll just ask which are the next NHL games. And this agent already has orchestration and instructions in place to direct my conversation to this NHL games topic, where I just have a generative answers node that will go online and retrieve some information about what's next in the National Hockey League. So I already received my response here, which looks pretty accurate. And now we can expect to see the logs of this interaction in the Azure Application Insights after a few seconds. So I will come back here to Azure Application Insights now, and I'll just rerun this query. And so far, I still don't have any information, but if I run this query a few more times, you see that I will receive these results. And then after a few seconds, I already have a few results here. I'll just run it again. I still don't have anything else. And here, as you can see, I have a few different events that were captured by Azure. I have, for example, bottom message received. I have the start of a topic. I have an action that was taken inside a topic. Let me just run it again to make sure that we are capturing the events from the whole conversation. And yes, there you go. Here we have a few other things, including the generative answers node that Copilot accessed to answer my question about the NHL schedule. I can also expand any of those events over here. Here I can find a few information like the content of the message that was sent by Copilot or by the user. I can also see if this conversation happened in the context of the test pane or not, which is the case of this design mode property. Here you can also customize this query to add a few more information. So for example, let's say that I wanted to have this message property included as an additional column. I can just break this line, include a pipe, and then I can pass a query like extend message. I want to name this column as a message, let's say, equals to custom dimensions dot text lowercase. And if I execute this query again, I now have this extra column called message that will contain the message sent by the user or by the agent for those events, of course, where you had any related message. For those events where we don't have an actual message, like this topic action or topic start, we don't have any information inside this column. And by the way, you can check the official docs or use some help from AI to generate other types of queries. So for example, you can have here any filters, aggregations, calculations, and much more. And for further reference on this topic, you can also check the links that are left into the description of this video.